Welcome back to Gaelic Fan TV. Week 1 in the Alliance National Football League is a wrap, and myself and Matthew Hurley from the Gaelic Statsman podcast are here to break down all the weekend's action. The storm did cause plenty of disruption. There were 3 games in total that were postponed. Kerry Donegal being one of the games that was of the most high profile, but there were 2 other matches postponed as well in Leitrim Laois and Wicklow and Waterford. But myself and Matthew will look through all the other games, discuss all the big talking points, and certainly first week of the Alliance National Football League was interesting. You had the new rules, you had some interesting kind of things thrown out into the media by some different managers, which we'll get into. But Matthew, welcome back to the show, welcome back to the podcast, and for the very first time, you're here week 1, and Cork have won a game.
Yeah, exactly. And thanks for having me on again, Aaron. It's a kind of a weird situation this year because I was at the media box in Páirc Uí Chaoimh on Saturday. It was a great feeling, obviously, to go to the press conferences and write about Cork footballers, which is obviously a great thing. And obviously Cork won, so we were writing on a positive light. And to be honest, it was decent game of football, the game of Páirc Uí Chaoimh on Saturday. Meads played some good stuff as well. It was just disappointed that it wasn't shown at League Sunday. We talk about, I think that's a broken record that we talk about for years on end now, that the game isn't being as publicised as we wish it would be. Like we discussed it off air there, the only game on League Sunday last night across Division 2, Division 3, Division 4 that was actually shown on RT was Roscommon and Down. And as you rightly said off air, that was a game shown at TG Carr. We probably would have wanted to see the other games. The probably would have wanted to see Monaghan and Cavan, or even in Division 3. I would have loved to see Offaly Sligo, because that was a brilliant result. But it looks, I think, for Offaly, apparently that was a brilliant performance by the faithful county. So yeah, it was disappointing. Maybe there's the argument there, it should be split into 2 shows. League Sunday or something like that, just to give the counties what they deserve, a bit of recognition. I suppose they are at TG Carr tonight, and TG Carr do a brilliant job, obviously. But the media will come into question again with RT in particular next weekend, because it turns out Cork and Limerick, probably one of the games of the league campaign in hurling, won't be even shown on Saturday evening, and that'll be a discussion, I'm sure, this week as well. So yeah, I'm guessing, like, if among the new rules and everything like that, RT's coverage of the league is probably another talking point to be discussed as well.
Yeah. No, I could like it was an hour and 39 minutes long, the show, because I watched it on the player this morning. So like there's a lot obviously to pack into that, when you think of how long that show actually is, discounting advertisements as well. So like it was a very, very long show. So they tried to fit as much in as they can. And I know they're trying to put in football, hurling, ladies football, camogie. Like they're trying to fit in all the codes across all the different shows. But yeah, like maybe we've obviously discussed it before, but I couldn't believe it, like watching the show that was Roscommon Down first, and then straight away just skipped over Cork Meath. And considering the history between the 2 counties and everything else that goes into it, yeah, I was just massively, massively surprised that they didn't show that game.
Yeah, I was as well. And to be honest, on another note as well, I know I watched Cork and Meath, so it wasn't too bad for me. I watched the game and all that. It was grand for the media box. But Cavan and Monaghan, that was a huge rivalry up in Ulster.
Yeah,
like 2 of those actually detest each other up in Ulster, and for that not to be even shown on RT was a shame. Even to dip down to Division 3 and Division 4 games, like Offaly Sligo would have been the main one this weekend, given that Offaly have Mickey Hart coming into the dugout, obviously as a joint manager with Sligo, one of the promotion favourites, my personal promotion favourites in Sligo there. So yeah, that was kind of disappointing as well. They talked a lot about the new rules, and I suppose you do have to do that. Like, that was the main topic of discussion this weekend, and there was a lot of confusion, I'm sure, at games. Like even at the Cork and Meath game, there was 2 scores, I said to you off air, that looked like 2-pointers. They weren't given as 2-pointers. There would have been other instances up and down the country as well. There was Roscommon and Down yesterday where the umpires actually gave a 2-pointer when a shot was taken at the edge of the original D, which wasn't the 40-meter arc. There was 2 instances yesterday. They were ultimately corrected, but it just shows maybe the referees and the umpires and the players and the managers are learning at the same time. And I think John Cleary mentioned that in his press conference on Saturday evening, interestingly enough as well. The referee in that particular game, Derek O'Mahony, went to Robbie Brennan and John Cleary and said, look, it's a learning process for us too. It's a learning process for everybody, for fans, for media. And I suppose we kind of have to be, I know everybody's kind of very quick to judge in some ways, but we kind of have to be patient with these new rules. When you look at the positives these new rules brought, they brought more shots, more scores, more goals, more points across the board. And we had 50-50 contested kickouts. I personally think, look at the kickouts, especially the Cork and Meath game on Saturday, the short kickout is dead, I think. You have to go long. It's going to be 50-50 battles, which is what we want. It's what we want in Gaelic football, because when you look at the short kickout, it's kind of got boring at some stages. But then again, there were some instances, like I didn't watch any Division 1 games in full. I know you were at the Dublin Mayo game, Aaron, but apparently Division 1 games weren't up to a high standard this weekend. They were very slow, very pedestrian. But certainly Division 2, there was a lot of scores. There was a lot of brilliant shot taking, like Meath, Cork, Monaghan, Cavan, Roscommon and Down, and Louth Westmeath, to be fair, all were high-scoring games. So is it kind of an argument that from Division 2 downwards, you're going to get games where teams just throw off the shackles and they embrace the new rules a bit, and then in Division 1, it's kind of like you're conservative. You're trying to get a draw for whatever it takes, or get a win or whatever. So maybe there's that kind of element too when you look at the scorelines and stuff like that. It's quite an interesting take to have, really.
Yeah, anyone who's tuning in, hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let us know your comments as well. Plenty of comments flying in there. We'll certainly get to them when we start to go through the games. But yeah, you mentioned the new rules, and there certainly was a lot of chat and discussion online and on social media about the new rules and everything else that was coming in. As you said, they chatted a bit about it on Allianz League Sunday last night as well. I do agree with you as well. I think, like, to say right now that I've seen a lot of people say, the new rules aren't going to work, like this doesn't work, that's broken. You know, it is week 1. There was always going to be teething problems. To be honest, I nearly expected there to be more teething problems than there actually was. You know, I think the 12v11 one is definitely an interesting one with the goalkeepers obviously creating the extra man. So probably nothing's really changed in regard to that. We saw a lot of fouls obviously called for teams not leaving 3 up. That did seem to be a very common occurrence, and I think that is something definitely to get used to. The fact that, you know, you can not leave 3 up, and then it can result in, you know, a free completely the opposite way. The solo and goal rule I thought looked very, very good. I was really impressed with that. That was probably the one I liked the most, because they just kept the game moving consistently. There didn't really seem to be that stop where a player would stop and then pass the ball backwards, as we've so often seen. It just sort of kept the game moving. The kickouts, as you said, were absolutely brilliant. The 2-pointers I thought were brilliant as well. But what were your thoughts on the new rules in terms of what worked and maybe what didn't work?
Yeah, I agree with you on the solo goal. It definitely sped up the game. I think that definitely worked. I think the throwing worked, because like even in games that I see, the 2 games I see in full were the Cork and Meath game and the Roscommon and Down game. And for 4 of those throw-ups, there was no fouls. And you have to look at that as well. Instantly after a throw-up, there's an attack now. There's no freeze, there's no congestion, and no stopping in the play, which I think was a shrewd kind of a move from the Football Review Committee to bring in the throw-in, because like I wouldn't have noticed the throw-in before the Football Review Committee actually mentioned it. But I think it's a brilliant kind of a thing to come in. I think the kickouts is a superb idea, because what it does decrease is short kickouts. It decreases kind of boring play, and you want more 50-50 battles. You want more contests. Yes, look at the stats. My own County Cork did do well on the kickouts. We won under 50% of them, but it is something to learn from, and I think teams will be going more on long kickouts in training sessions now. They can't go short. Like there was one instance where a Cork cornerback actually took a short kickout. Micheál Martin tried a short kickout, but then the cornerback was running down the line. The Meath forwards were converging on him. Then he was thinking, I'll go back to the goalkeeper. Then he was thinking, oh no, I can't go back to the goalkeeper here because I'll get a foul. In the end, the cornerback did well to get a sideline ball out of it and kept possession of it. But I think that was a lesson. You have to go long at these kickouts now, because if you go short, there's a risk of it maybe going into the centre and giving away a free in an easy position or something like that. I think the 3-up, I think, is a very good rule, and was actually only penalised only once in the Cork and Meath game, amazingly. But in other games, yes, the Roscommon Down game, there was a lot of penalisations, and there was an Armagh and Galway as well. And I'm sure, I heard last night, no, I don't know, is this true, but Kieran McGeeney actually didn't get the proper rule book before the Armagh Galway game.
Yeah.
If that is true, there has to be an improvement on that. And Eamon Fitzmaurice did mention it, to be fair, on League Sunday last night. I think the 2-pointer, look, I think there needs to be more clarity between the referees, the umpires, the players and the managers as well. Because as I mentioned at the start of the show, or even off air, in the Cork and Meath game, there was 2 instances where, firstly, Jordan Morris in the 4th minute of the game kicked a lovely score, which looked like to be outside the arc. But then it was given as a 1-pointer. The white flag went up, and there was just confusion around the ground. We were all saying in the media box, surely that's a 2-pointer. Like, surely that is a 2-pointer. You can't. Surely the ref made a mistake there, but in the end he didn't. The Paul Walsh went in for Cork. Maybe even they sent out after that to an extent. But you'd be thinking, like, at inter-county level, I think it will be fine as the summer and the spring, obviously the league, I think, as the year goes on. But then when you think about club level, especially intermediate and junior, when the facilities may not be there to draw a proper 40-metre arc, there's going to be a lot of confusion at junior level and the intermediate level, unless maybe the clarification is there in some way. So yeah, there was going to be TV problems, as you mentioned. Maybe not as much this weekend, but there is still a lot to get stuck into. But the vast majority of the introduction of the new rules, I really liked. And what I found, actually, the amount of people that were complaining about the new rules, they seem to be from counties like Armagh and Derry, who seem to be doing well over the last few seasons, that don't like change particularly. Yeah, I'll just be, look, this is the new age of Gaelic football. This is the way to improve it. And I think it worked well at some instances, but there were some teething problems. Yeah, that's what it's there to do. Like, Rome wasn't built in a day, as they say. And games, they do, like any sport, they do develop. You look at soccer, for example. Like, most people actually might not know in soccer, you were allowed to pass back to the goalkeeper with the goalkeeper picking it up in the 1960s and the 1950s, even the 1970s. But that eventually changed. So games evolve. They do evolve. Like, rugby's even changing nowadays with the head-on-head contact and things like that. So games do evolve, and people need to accept these. These are new rules coming into Gaelic football to improve it for the better. They aren't, the Football Review Committee aren't here to make a hands of Gaelic football. They're genuine football people that want to improve the game as a whole, as a spectacle. And I suppose the reality last year and in previous seasons was Gaelic football got stale, it got boring, and it in some instances it was dying. And what the Football Review Committee have done is they've injected a bit of life into the game, and it's up to the teams now, in a sense, to maybe embrace these new rules and try out these new rules, and maybe they could lead to an All-Ireland later on down the summer. We'll have to see, but I was encouraged by the new rules, I have to say. Most people weren't. Many people weren't, but look, I'm willing to give it a go. I really am willing to give it a go. I think there were some brilliant rules, and we should embrace them.
Absolutely, yeah. No, there definitely was, and look, as you said, there will be teething problems. I think there will be elements to this that doesn't work, and I think there will be elements to it as well that works really, really well. And look, it is worth remembering as well, they do have the option, like after the league, to, you know, counties do have the option to not go with these new rules. Like, it's brought in for the league. It's not a guarantee to be brought into the championship. There might be some rules that might go. So, like, we will obviously have to see in relation to that. Patrick did say here as well, do you think VAR will work in the game? We've discussed this before. I don't think so personally. I think there's too much for them to keep up with.
One thing actually that could work. Did you ever watch hockey in the Olympics, Aaron?
I didn't know.
This was very, very interesting, actually, because I think, off the top of my head, I think every team would have two wildcard calls to review video decisions. So maybe I bring that in, because if you bring in VAR, it's kind of free for all. Every goal that's going to be called for steps is going to be disallowed or whatever. But if you have kind of wildcard picks, then you could pick at some stage in the game saying that, oh, the referee, I think you made an error there. I want you to have a look at the video. That's one of your wildcards gone. So, but you have to be careful throughout the game on when to use them and when not to use them. So I think that may be a rule that could come in relation to VAR. I wouldn't bring in the whole of VAR, because as someone said to me previously in the past few seasons, for VAR to come in, you need Hawkeye in every ground in the country. And at the moment, Hawkeye's only in Semple Stadium and Croke Park, I think it is. Might be open to correction. I think that's the only two grounds that it's in at the moment. But they aren't in every ground up and down the country. They aren't even in the likes of Páirc Uí Chaoimh or the Gaelic grounds or McHale Park or Pearse Stadium. You need to push Hawkeye into those grounds before you can start to give VAR. But even a small thing with VAR, bringing that hockey rule with the wildcard video picks, I think that might be a rule that could change Gaelic football in terms of making the game fairer for players and officials as well.
Yeah, James actually makes a good point here. He says, wasn't in Mullingar on Sunday and the crowd were in the dark as to what was happening with some of the decisions. Not sure if a referee Mike would fix this or make a comedy show, though. It was interesting. I was kind of thinking that like a little bit during the Dublin Mayo game. Now, to be fair, there wasn't really, like, as far as I remember, I think there might have been maybe one breach of when a team, and I think it might have been Dublin who didn't leave 3 up. So I think that might have been the only. There wasn't too many 2-pointers as well. I think Mayo might have kicked 2. I think Dublin didn't kick any. The solo and go rule was in full flow, and there were some people in the crowd who like weren't entirely sure as to what was going on there, because it was like, you know, a free is called and then all of a sudden the players just go, and it's like, what's going on there? So it kind of took a bit of adjustment there. Yeah, like it again. I don't think, you know, to ref all the mic to mic all of the referees up and then announce it. Again, it just might. I could see there being more teething problems with that. I do get it, because there probably are people, like, at least when you're watching it on commentary. And TG Carr did a great job of it in the Roscommon Down game. I didn't see some of the other games live now, to be fair, but they were, and I think Eamon Fitzmaurice actually, maybe from having a listen to on Alliance League Sunday during the Tyrone match, it did sound, or Galway Armagh, whichever one he was on, it did sound like he was explaining the rules kind of there as well, which was good. And I suppose maybe that's the thing, is the fans, and maybe even yourselves in the media box, probably not entirely sure. Now, obviously, we're aware of the new rules and everything else, and we, you know, anyone who's looked into the new rules will be aware of certain things, but there probably were moments where it was like, you know, is the referee calling a free there because of the breach of leaving 3 up or not leaving 3 up, or was that something else? Was that dissent? So yeah, I think there will be a bit of getting used to in regards to that.
Yeah, oh, definitely. I think it'll be about getting used to it from, like, everybody's point of view, from a player's point of view, from managers, from referees, from media, from fans. I think it will take a lot of time. I think it will take surely about 3 or 4 match weeks. And yes, Division 2 and Division 3 is cutthroat and points are an offer and things like that. And it is very, very important. But it's important to notice as well that these new rules are coming in to change the game. You have to be very, very patient with them. But we're all in the same boat here. And that's what I was mentioning up in the media box as well. We're all in the same boat. Everybody. Look, it's new rules for across the board. We have to be very, very patient with them and just see how they play out in the league. And then again, as you mentioned there, Aaron, if they don't work in the league, we can always refine them then at the end of the league before the championship kicks in. So I think, look, you have to give them a chance. First of all, you have to give them a chance. But I could see why fans were confused at things like that by some decisions and things like that. But yeah, it's going to take a lot of getting used to, but I think genuinely it's going to be for the better of Gaelic football that these new rules are coming in. And it's something exciting. Let's not brush under the carpet as well about the controversy of the new rules and things like that. It is exciting because you looked at the league, compared the league from this year to last year. Last year was all doom and gloom, and we were thinking, oh no, not Gaelic football again. Like, this is boring stuff. We cannot take any more of this. Putrid Gaelic football or whatever. This year, it's excitement. It's new rules, whatever opinion you have, it's new rules, it's a new start. And genuinely, I think it could be a better thing for the game. And look, it's an exciting time for Gaelic football, and we just all have to embrace it. That's the key thing.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, last thing just on this, I wanted to highlight this tweet here from GA League Tables, at GA League Tables. Fair play to them. Great to see them back doing what they do. And this was impact of new football rules after round 1. So there was just a bit of a comparison to the 13 games that were played this weekend in the open round of the league compared to the 16 games that were played in the open round of the league last year. So you can see there the total points per game, 37.2 to 28.8. Average goals per game has gone up slightly there as well. The average winning margin per game, which actually we might get onto, has been very interesting. There's been a lot of big margins between matches. And bear in mind, this is 13 games versus 16. So there's definitely, that number would go up, you'd imagine, with even more games coming in as well when Kerry Donegal. There was someone who asked there in terms of when Kerry Donegal is. I heard it's going to be fixed for the weekend of the 8th or 9th of February. That's what I heard. And it is interesting as well because, as we know, we're doing a bit of a predictions league, and the person with the most amount of predictions will pick a forfeit for me to do. Matthew had one where if he gets the most amount of predictions right from the 7 different guests, I'll have to get a big speaker phone and shout Cork is the real capital in a Cork jersey as well in a big match day. So that's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting as well because your total, so you have 8 points from the weekend. Now that doesn't sound overly amazing, but you actually got 8 predictions correct out of 13. Now you didn't get any score predictions right, or margin of victory correct. You were very close though in the Dublin Mayo game. You were a point off. You said Dublin by 3, and it was actually Dublin by 2. So you were very, very close there. But look, we'll crack into some of the games from the weekend, starting with Galway 112, Armagh 9 points. Gaelic, I said here from an Armagh perspective, not too concerned about the Galway result. Players just a bit rusty, which was to be expected. And yeah, it was interesting. 3 2-pointers going down the home stretch for Galway. So, we look at this as a 6-point win, and I think maybe we do need to start maybe reshaping how we see matches and these margins and everything else, because you'd look at this and think 6-point win, comfortable for Galway. But in the end, with those 3 2-pointers, it makes it a lot bigger than it is. And it obviously shows the value of having players who can kick those 2-pointers.
It is. And what was even more surprising, look at this, is Armagh only scored 9 points, even with the new rules implemented. They only scored 9 1-pointers. And 8 or 9 scores actually came from Rory Grugan and Oisin Connaughty, which was incredible in its own right. Only Conor Turbot, I think, scored. Other than that, as the comment said there, Armagh were a bit rusty. There's no point in denying that. They had a few the things that went on in the off season. They're after after winning the All Irelands, it was a bit of a hoodoo there. Whereas Galway maybe had something to prove in this one. And yeah, to be fair, the likes of Cillian O'Corrine, Matthew Tierney played well in this one. Paul Conroy did well at midfield as well. Shane Walsh got a 2-pointer after coming on as well. So yeah, but Armagh got caught a lot with the 3-up in this game, and that ultimately kind of cost them, because there was one instance where they got caught in the 3-up. Shane Walsh opted to take it outside the arc. He converted that to make it 2 points as well. So maybe it's something Armagh need to watch in the next few weeks. But I think the main talk about this game was the fact that McGeady didn't get the proper rule book, if that's correct, and that was, I know it's the first round of the league. You can't really read too much into it. It's probably a game not of importance, particularly for Armagh, because they'll be aiming for summer, obviously, in the championship. But yeah, I think that can't happen in the next few weeks. Look, it sounded pretty bad, and maybe it's worse. It reads worse than it actually was. But yeah, that wasn't great from an Armagh point of view, and it wasn't great from Kieran McGee's point of view, I would imagine as well. I'm sure he was absolutely livid with that. But from Galway's point of view, look, a good win, Pearse Stadium as well, good win in front of their home fans, good 2-pointers kicked as well. But it was very, very low scoring considering the new rules being brought in, I would think, Aaron. Look at the other games, particularly in Division 2 with the high scores in those games. So yeah, it was low scoring, particularly from Armagh, but Galway won't care. They've got over the line, 2 points on the board.
Yeah, like and it is mad, like Joanne Cantwell was saying, and I've seen a few other journalists say as well about certain managers not getting rule books as well. And a few have obviously come out and mentioned it. Maybe some didn't get some who didn't even mention it as well. So a little bit bizarre there. Kind of not surprising though, when you look at the GA's track record with these things, to be honest with you. And I know they were saying it's not an FRC issue, but they are the ones bringing in the new rules, and obviously they're, Eamon Fitzmaurice certainly wasn't the man who's drawn up this rule book and posting them out, you know what I mean? Obviously there's other people involved in regards to that, but just a little bit bizarre that you changing the rules and then you don't send out a rule book to the managers who are going to be involved in trying to get their players to implement the new rules. Little bit crazy there, but in terms of Galway though, they looked very good. Cillian O'Correen, very impressive. Paul Conroy, Shane Walsh playing as well, coming off the bench. Matthew Tierney obviously getting a goal. There were some question marks over the penalty as well, it must be said. But overall, some very bright sparks, it must be said, from the Galwegians.
Yeah, and I think, look, they'll be happy enough to just get 2 points on the board, and they'll be happy enough with the performances that the players that you mentioned gave. The likes of Conroy, who has shown in the last few weeks in challenge games and in the first round of the league that he is a weapon when it comes to the 2-pointer. Shane Walsh as well coming onto the pitch. He's got a lot of rest now after Kilmacud went out of the club championship early, and that will do him the world of good, I'd imagine. Cillian O'Correen has added another option there, especially with the likes of Rob Finnerty not about, Damien Comer not about, probably injured, the both of them. Like, they've had their injury problems over the last few months, there's no doubt about it as well. So yeah, I think that's the main thing for Galway, that they are getting new players out of this as well. They seem to be adjusting well to the new rules, and a lot of people actually after this performance have tipped Galway to win the All-Ireland, given that they have the players, the capabilities to kick 2-pointers and to embrace the new rules in a way. So yeah, I think Galway could be a dark horse for the All-Ireland. There's no doubt about that, I'd say. So yeah, it should be interesting to see the tribesmen later on down the summer, how they perform in the championship in particular. But yeah, good performance against Armagh. Maybe it was an Armagh team, maybe on the beach, you could say, after winning the All-Ireland. They will take a few rounds to find their feet a small bit. So yeah, it should be very interesting from both sides' point of view in the weeks to come. But good start for Galway, and yeah, 2 points on the board, and maybe a league final could be there for Power Joyce's men.
Yeah, Kieran McGeeney said a full time that Rian O'Neill will be taking a couple of weeks, potentially even months, in terms of coming back into the Armagh panel. What did you make of that? I mean, obviously, I don't think it's I don't think it's a big surprise if he does miss the league. Given obviously what happened with Armagh last year, winning the All-Ireland, it wouldn't surprise me if there was a few players who took time after winning the All-Ireland. Same as happens with a lot of counties when they break that sort of long spell without winning an All-Ireland. It was interesting though. There was plenty of discussion, plenty of debate on social media, and I did see Colin Parkinson actually from Smaller Fish GEA, who said that the real reason why Rian O'Neill wasn't in the panel and won't be in the panel this year is because him and Kieran McGeeney have fallen out. Now, he has since deleted that tweet, which was interesting. But I mean, it seems like an obvious thing to just do. Like, okay, Rian O'Neill isn't there. He's taken a couple of months. Let's just straight away say him and Geezer fell out without really knowing all the facts, and where he obviously got that information from, we don't really know. But what were your thoughts on that? Is, should we look too much into that, or is that just, kind of standard really after everything that went down last year?
Before you asked me that question, Aaron, I would have said, yeah, it is standard. Maybe Reno needs to take a break from himself and just for the Armagh team itself, the whole hype and everything like that. And he will be back maybe for round 4 or round 5 of the league, and there isn't much of a debate there. But what you said about Colin Parkinson, I'll be honest, I didn't see that, and that throws the cat amongst the pigeons. If Colin Parkinson is saying things like that, a former player from Laois himself, and then he deletes it a few minutes later. Maybe Geezer got onto him on a direct message or something like that. Something is seriously wrong if that leaked. Look, this is what I mentioned at the start of the season, and maybe Armagh fans would have gone after me for this. Ulster sides don't necessarily do well after winning the All-Ireland. There seems to be one little bust-up, one little thing that goes wrong behind the scenes. Maybe the players aren't concentrating, and suddenly it rolls and rolls and rolls into the championship after that. The same thing could be happening at Armagh here. The weird thing, as I mentioned before you asked me that question, I would have said, look, it's what happens. Maybe Rian O'Neill is stepping aside just to take time for himself, maybe to spend time with the family, maybe to take a break from a few things. Work might be a issue as well. But after you mentioned the Wooly tweet, I'm like, something's off here. Something's seriously off. So it will be interesting in the next few weeks on how this story does develop. But yeah, when you told me that about Colin Parkinson's tweet there, I think something might be seriously wrong in the Armagh camp. Hearing those sorts of things, so should be an interesting story that develops in the next few weeks. We'll have to keep a close eye on it, but it's a story to keep us probably enthralled in a way, along with the new rules. But we have to see what happens.
Yeah, like, and it is the Gaelic Corner put it up on there. Like they obviously screenshot the tweet, so it is on their Instagram. And I did see it actually live when it went out as well. To be fair, before it was obviously deleted away. So yeah, it is a little bit interesting there. Like, it could be a bit of mind games maybe for McGeeney as well, playing things down, not wanting to give too much away. Desi has done this plenty of time with Dublin players down the years. So I wouldn't be entirely surprised about that. So we'll obviously wait and see. Kieran says, I thought Armagh played a better game in the first half until the last 5 or 10 minutes. Galway's were a hard watch, very passive and slow play. Patrick says both teams were poor. Patrick also says, from a Mayo man, Galway could win the All-Ireland. Look, they haven't been far off the last couple of years, and they certainly do have the players with these rules to exploit them, you would say. Gaelic Guy says Galway scored 3 4-2 pointers, which killed the game. And Connor says here, if Donegal doesn't win the All-Ireland final, who will win it? Well, it's very, very hard to obviously say at this moment in time, but if I have to signal out two teams other than Donegal, I would probably look at Tyrone or Galway maybe. But again, recency bias after the weekend and everything, it is worth mentioning. Speaking of Tyrone there, very big win for them versus Derry, 2-13 to 1-9. Interesting game because Derry actually started really well. Like, they kicked like the opening 4 points in the game. I thought they played well. They started strong. And, they certainly had some bright sparks in the moment. Conor Glass scored an unbelievable goal. I'm sure there will be some debate whether he meant it, but when you look at the power of the strike, it certainly did look like he meant it. But the more that the game went on, Tyrone just really, really pulled away. You had Owen McElhone who came on and really kind of lived up to the expectation. Noel Devlin obviously gets a goal in the second half. You did have a goal in the first half as well from Michael McKernan. It's a hard one to judge really because I think Derry just gassed out. They looked leggy towards the end. Now when you look at Derry in the context of last season, maybe you could say it's a little bit worrying given how last year went. And, did we see bits of that on in this game? Maybe we did, but it is early days, so it is hard to judge. But I think one thing we do have to say is Tyrone, like, they have some frightening forwards. Yeah,
exactly. And like, a lot of people were saying that I was mad and things like that to say Tyrone will win this weekend and Tyrone could be a serious All-Ireland challenger. They look serious. They like look at the panel and look at Malachy O'Rourke coming in as manager, thinking something's building here. And you look at this game and you look at the context of all this, because context is very important when you look at the match reports and stuff like that. There was 1 2-pointer each. Brendan Rodgers got one for Derry and Darren McCurry got one for Tyrone. There was no other 2-pointer in the game. So it was really, when you look at it Brighton Day, it was a 7-point game, whatever way you look at it. And that just proved like Tyrone are a serious side. they are a serious side to be looked at. And yeah, they like Darren McCurry, Michael McCurran scoring 1-2 as well. Niall David coming off the back and scoring 1-1 as well. Add to the fact that Calavans are still to come back into this team. So is Joe Goose, so is Peter Hart. McElhone looked lively when he came on and scored 2 points. Shea O'Hare got a point for himself in this game, I'm sure, as well. So yeah, a lot of positives in this performance for Tyrone. It was a really, really good display, and it probably just is a bit of foreshadowing in a way on how good Tyrone could be in the championship later in the summer. They look really, really good, and yeah, it's going to be very, very difficult to stop them. There's no doubt about it. Like you look at Matty Donnelly as well, got 2 points in this one. Michael McCurran, as I mentioned, was 1-2 in this sort of game as well. It was just a brilliant, brilliant performance from them, and you couldn't have asked for any more from them. But from a Derry point of view, when you look at their record since the start of April in 2024, they have only won 1 game outright, and that's Westmeath, a game which they could have easily lost in Park Esther last year. That's just for context. That's not counting penalties. So that's a poor record for Derry. It really is. They need to change it up fast, or else the negativity in the camp will keep on rolling. So it's so important to get Derry to get a win next week, or at the very, very least match day 3, because if the losing run keeps on going, if the winless run, should I say, keeps on going, then the grading of confidence will spread throughout the camp, and things will start to go wrong. When you look at this in context yesterday, or on Saturday rather, Derry had Brendan Rodgers, Conor Glass, Shane McGuigan, all on the pitch. Like they had some serious players. I know Garrett McInnes was missing for Ballinderry Shamrock, but that was 1 player. Tyrone were missing 4 of their players through Eric Kieran action. So, and Tyrone still beat them by 7 points. It was a comprehensive win. New rules, old rules, whatever way you look at it. So I'd be very, very concerned about Derry this year. I'll be honest with you. They looked, in the first half, granted, they looked to be going well, but in the second half, the old kind of failings from last year in the championship in particular started to creep in. And once they start to creep in, the confidence starts to go down. Derry need a win. They need a win sooner rather than later just to get the confidence up. As for Tyrone, brilliant win for them. And as I said before, and I'll say it again, they're going to be a serious, serious team this year under Malachy O'Rourke.
Yeah, and it did seem as well, like as soon as they got dealt a few blows, like as soon as the goals, they started, like when they were playing well, they were playing brilliant, but as soon as Tyrone started to turn it up, it just felt like Derry didn't have the stomach really to kind of keep with Tyrone. And again, does that go down to match sharpness, fitness, maybe? Obviously, Derry, did appoint Paddy Tally very late in last year in comparison to a lot of other counties, so maybe Tyrone are just that bit further ahead at this moment in time. We will obviously have to wait and see on that one. We had Dublin, who beat Mayo 117-115. Good result in the end for Dublin, given a large amount of players that obviously weren't there. Mayo, of course, were missing some key players as well. It must be mentioned. It was an interesting game. Like from being at it in Croke Park, it didn't feel like there was a huge amount of new rules that were kind of on show. In this one, maybe in comparison, like watch the Roscommon Down game, you were seeing so much, and as you were saying, you noticed a lot of it in Cork Mead as well. Whereas in this one, it didn't quite seem to be that way. But very good performance by Dublin. Sean Bugler was outstanding with 7 points. Good to see some new players in there, the likes of James Madden, Kevin Lahiff looked very, very good as well. And Gavin Sheridan, I thought it was interesting because Dublin have never really played a sweeper, keeper kind of style role where he's bursting up the pitch. But Gavin Sheridan was doing that in goal for Dublin, and he's probably arguably maybe 3rd or 4th choice goalkeeper for Dublin. So it was impressive to see him see him do that. But yeah, good win for the Dubs.
Yeah, good win. And when you look at the players that have left the panel and the players that are stepping up, I think Bogler, look at this performance and look at performances down through the years with Dublin, is going to have a really, really serious year. 7 points from play, not including, like he didn't even get a 2-pointer this one, which I had to double check and thinking that's incredible shooting. 7 points from a wing forward that normally kind of drifts in the middle third of the pitch. That's a really, really good return. Like it was a brilliant performance from him. Kevin Lahaith, obviously, as you mentioned, with 1-2 as well. James Madden in the team, and he'll add a lot of strength around the middle, third for Dublin, and I imagine as well. Luke Branagh getting 2 points, a great McEnany getting 2 points is a positive sign for Dublin. And look at the match report actually for the official GA website. Am I right in saying this, Aaron? Dublin scored all their 117 from play.
That's correct. Yeah.
That's incredible.
It was bizarre because we didn't get that many frees, but it wasn't really because there was it wasn't. There weren't really too many instances I can remember where it was like, the referee did us over or anything like that. There was none of that. There just wasn't really many fouls, even both ways. And it was a little bit unusual. I think we might have had 1 or 2 frees that went wide, but yeah, all of it was from play.
That's incredible shooting, and I think that just proves like Dublin are just always going to be up there. And there was question marks. I think there was question marks at League Sunday last night about the new players coming in. But you seen last night or on Saturday evening, you had James Madden there. You had Sean Bugler. I know Sean Bugler's not a necessarily new player, but he is the newer kind of breed. Kevin Lahaith, obviously, as well. Greg McEnany, Luke Branagh, Killian McGuinness, all got the score sheet, as well as Colin Basquet, who got the score sheet as well, and Kieran Kilkenny, a part of the older kind of a guard, who got 2 points. He needs to lead from play as well. Then, like Con, I'd imagine is definitely going to return. Pat O'Coffey-Byrne, I'd imagine, is going to be in the team as well. And as big, I don't know what the story is with Big Fitzsimons now, but you have an option with Niall McMorrow, with Peter Duffy from that Coola side as well. I don't know, would Niall O'Callaghan be up for coming into the Dublin panel as well? Like, there are players there, Ross McGarry, another one. There are players there for Dublin that have potential to come into this panel. And I think there was kind of maybe the reactionary kind of a button in the off season. People were just saying that, Fenton's gone, McCarthy's gone, Mannion's gone, McCaffrey's gone. It's crisis mode. Dublin are going to struggle this year. They're going to lose Leinster. But you look at the amount of talent coming through Dublin. Like, Dublin were still winning under 20 championships and stuff like that. Like, they were still getting to under 20 All-Ireland finals in 2019 and 2020. And while the likes of Kieran Archer haven't developed as much as many people have hoped, there are players from that team that have, like David O'Hanlon in goal was in the 2019 team. I remembered. Ross McGarry was on that team. Pat O'Coffey-Byrne was on that team. You have James Madden coming back from AFL as well. You have Sean Bowler, who's still young enough. You have Greg McEnany, who's doing well at Sigerson. You have Conor Dolan, who's doing well at Sigerson level for DCU as well. Maybe he could get a call into the panel. There are players there from Dublin, and I think Desi, once he brings in these new kind of breed of player, I think they'll do some very, very good things this year. And to be honest, I looked at this game in particular, and I don't want to toot my own horn, but I did get this right. I said Dublin would beat Mayo, I said by 3 points, obviously, but they beat them by 2. But the main reason was I genuinely thought Dublin had some good players among their panel, especially those of James Madden. It would be very, very interesting to see how he developed. Whereas with Mayo, they were over-reliant on the likes of Ryan O'Donoghue, particularly in the championship last year. And in the league, Fergal Boland, and so improved in this one, because like the only 2 players to get more than 3 scores for Mayo on Saturday evening were Ryan O'Donoghue and Fergal Boland. That just proves the point. Like, Mayo were over-reliant on them 2 players. You don't have the option of Killian O'Connor off the bench. You don't have the leadership from off the bench from Pádraig O'Hora there as well. There were some good performances from Paul Towie and Frank Irwin, granted. Colin Reid coming up to get a point as well. Darren McHale as well. But Mayo just don't have enough, in my opinion. And I think they could be on the verge of going down to Division 2. I just don't think they're necessarily good enough at this stage. Whereas Dublin getting 117 from play, a lot of new players coming in and performing well in this one. Bowler getting the 7 points. There's still players to come in, the likes of Pat O'Coffey-Byrne, Conor O'Callaghan, etc. I honestly think, Aaron, you're in a very, very good situation, and probably in a better situation than you and Seamus envisaged in the off-season.
Yeah, maybe slightly so. And obviously, you don't have Mannion and McCaffrey, as Desi Farrell mentioned, at full time, so that could be, a slight problem maybe for Dublin. But no, like there definitely were a lot of positives. Owen O'Donnell, I thought, as well, a full forward. Although he didn't score, he set up the first goal. He was making things happen. It was kind of bizarre seeing him up there. playing a full forward for Dublin. He obviously does actually do that with Whitehall Kill, in fairness. So it's not something that I haven't seen before, but it was kind of a bit mad to kind of see him playing up there. But he was causing havoc, and it kind of actually, reminded me a little bit of when Aidan O'Shea would play full forward at Mayo, where he wouldn't necessarily be the man who would be kicking points and I'm going to say I do think Aidan O'Shea is a better footballer and better at that role, obviously, but it did kind of remind me a little bit of that with Owen O'Donnell, in fairness.
And
Gaelic guy says, yeah.
I was going to say as well, what's the story with Davy Keogh? Is he going to stay with the footballers, or is he going to dip into hurlers, or is he stapled into the football panel now?
Yeah, it's hard to know. Like, it's one of them. We'll just have to see, kind of as time moves on. But there is a lot of great options. Like Luke Bretnock, who came on, scored 2 points as well. Kevin Lahiff, obviously, who started the game, who I'm fairly certain is related to Tom, scored 1-2. Like, so there is a lot of positives and with Dublin, in fairness. And look, in fairness to Mayo, Patrick says we need Tommy Conroy to step up big time. Yeah, like he's had a lot of injury issues. Like as you said, Ryan O'Donoghue scored 3, Fergal Boland, but they did have scores from Frank Irwin, Paul Towie, Conor Reid, and David Neary as well. So they do have some good players there, Mayo. And I think it was more, it wasn't a lack of. I think again, it was just probably that lack of sharpness. They just tired massively. There was stages in this game where it looked like Mayo, like Dublin started the better, then Mayo came into it and were on top, and then it was just towards the end that Dublin sort of overpowered Mayo from there. But there we go. That's Division 1 wrapped up. Move on to Division 2. Cork 219, Meath 21 points. Matthew Hurley, over to you.
Yeah. It's pretty rare that I'm happy after a win like a win at match day 1. It's the first time Cork since relegation for Division 1 have actually won on match day 1 in Division 2, which is, it's a worrying stat, but look, we got the win. It was a really impressive display. It was 11 points apiece at halftime. Good game of football, it really was. And credit has to go to Meath as well. Like, scoring 21 points and still losing the game is a hard one to take, obviously. But the difference was, and it was the difference, ironically, in 23 when we played Meath in the same ground in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Meath got the goals that day. Cork lost the game. Cork got the goals of this one. Meath lost the game. Goals win games, and John Cleary said that in the press conference afterwards in the media briefing. And yeah, Chris O'Jones took a brilliant goal. Matty Taylor after brilliant work from Sean Powter took a brilliant goal as well. And those were kind of the goals that Cork needed to keep themselves in it. Even after the Matty Taylor goal, though, Meath scored 3 on the bounce. Like Billy Hogan got one. So did Shane Walsh, and so did I think Matthew Costello got one at that point as well. And we were thinking Cork were going to throw this away, but then we scored, I think it was 1-5 without reply after that, and Chris Oak scored a quick fire 1-1. And what I will say about Chris Oak, like, the new rules are going to suit him down to a T, because what Cork are going to do now is going to kick the ball straight into Chris Oak. He could get on the wrong side of the defender, or even the right side, and he's going to have pace to burn here. I think he's going to have a really, really good season, like he did last year, to be fair. He was a top scorer from Division 2. He scored 1-4 from playing this game. I think he is a lively forward, and is definitely one to keep an eye on for Cork. Great to see Colin Manny. Had injury issues over the last few seasons. Back, he came on as a sub in the second half, scored a brilliant point as well, and contributed well. Colin Buchanan did well in midfield. A few debutants there. Neil Lorden for Ballynor did very well at cornerback, I thought. Sean Walsh did okay from Mitchelstown in midfield. So yeah, there was positives, especially with a lot of players leaving in the off season, and a lot of injuries and things like that. And we go into the Down game next week, where I don't think, if we lose against Down, I don't think it's a end of the world, really. We brush ourselves down and things like that, but we kind of had to win this game just to get up on the right foot. We done that now. It was a brilliant win for Cork, in fairness. And yeah, a lot of people are saying that we'll go up, but look, I'd say hold your horses there. Like Down are going to be a tough team next week. They showed against Roscommon they're a very, very good side. So I know they'll have a huge test for us in Park Esler next week. But it's a very good start. It's a very good start for John Cleary. He was very, very happy afterwards to get the win. But yeah, it was a good display. Maybe a few things maybe to sort out, included the kickouts. We weren't winning probably as much as Cleary and many Cork fans would hope that we were winning. And then Meath to get 40 shots away, which was a very high number, but that's credit to Meath as well, the football they played. But yeah, it was a good display from Cork just to get over the line. Really good win, and maybe that will give the confidence for the players to push on in the league. And hopefully we can possibly make a promotion charge if all goes well. As for Meath, look, Aaron, I think there is positives from Meath. I think Jack Flynn is a long kicker. I think he's a really, really good player. He's missing at the end of last year in the championship, but I think he'll be a key player for Meath, no doubt about it. I think Jordan Morris scored 4 points from play. Probably should have got 5, let's be honest. That should have been a 2-pointer in the first half. He's going to be suited to the new rules as well. He's shown at Sigurdsson level for TU Dublin. He's a really, really good player. Matthew Costello, excellent player, 10 points in this game. Like Shane Walsh, if he gets going as well, could have a very good campaign as well. Billy Hogan in goal, went gallivanting up at stages. Like Donald Keoghan and Seamus Lavin were experienced defenders in the back line as well. And Robbie Brennan has a lot to improve on, obviously, as Meath manager, but I think he is the right man to take them forward. There was a lot of positives for Meath. They just missed too many chances in this one. Cork got over the line, very good display. But just in general, Aaron, very good game of football between two traditional counties. And wish Meath all the best in this league campaign. But from a Cork point of view, hopefully this will be the platform to build a promotion kind of bid.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, as you said, yeah, from a Meath perspective, like to have, to get 40 shots off, to get that level of output, I think is very, very impressive. It's something that Meath have actually struggled with hugely. I felt like in the last couple of years they haven't scored enough in a lot of their games. So to actually get a tally of 21 points, I do think is impressive. And although they lost the game and they do have tough fixtures, I think it does have to be said it might be tough for them in this division at times. But there definitely is positives there. In fairness, and as you said, great result for the Rebels as well. Cavan 20 points, Monaghan 2-22. As we were saying, we didn't get to see any of this kind of in the highlights as such. I suppose like when you look at the scoreline again, how many 2-pointers were there in this game, we actually don't know, to be fair.
I'm looking at the scores here, Aaron. I think there was I'll count you off the top of my head here. Rory Began got 3 2-pointers, Garland got 1, Conor McCarthy got 1, so that's 5 2-pointers for Monaghan. I'm just looking at Cavan here. They got 4 2-pointers, Cavan. So it was 5 2-pointers to 4. So in the end, it was still a comprehensive win for Monaghan, wasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Like an 8-point win. I wasn't expecting it to be that comfortable, to be honest with you. Like that's a very comfortable win, given that Cavan beat Monaghan last year. Like you would look at that scoreline and given the Monaghan players who weren't there, like that could be. I know they finished with 20 points, so it is still a high margin. But when you kind of look around the division, a lot of the other teams are scoring more or less this as well. So maybe that could be a little bit worrying for Cavan.
Yeah, they were missing Paddy Lynch in this one as well, and again, we don't know. We don't know the situation of Paddy. Is he going to return and things like that? I think the Meath game next week now, I think that's on a Navan, correct me if I'm wrong now, Aaron. That's a huge game for both sides. Meath would obviously want to get off the bat with a win, but it's a crucial game for Cavan as well, because if you lose that game, the confidence then starts to drain. I know this as a Cork fan, obviously. We lost the first 3 games last year and everything seemed to be doom and gloom. Obviously Cork got out of it, but Kildare was a prime example last year. They kept losing games. Eventually the confidence started to drain, and then they went down and they permeated then into the championship after that. I feel like with Cavan and Meath as well, even though Meath was a bit more positive against Cork, to be fair, it was a closer game than this. But and Meath were away was another point to go about this, whereas Cavan were at home in this one. I think there was a lot maybe to worry about from Cavan. Just the fact they were at home, they couldn't take advantage of that. The fact that Paddy Lynch was missing, we don't know the situation, obviously the ins and outs, and an 8-point loss. And as I mentioned before, the 2-pointers seemed to be pretty similar, 5-4. So in real money, it would have been anyway 5 or 6 points, which is still comprehensive really for Monaghan. look, we can't take away, it seemed to be a very good performance from Monaghan to get that kind of a margin with David Garland performing well, in particular Rory Bacon getting 6 points, which was a really, really good display from him. Conor McCarthy got 1-2, including a penalty. Micheál Bannigan got 4 points. Barry McBennett got 3 points as well. So it was a good display overall from Monaghan, and they should be very, very happy with them. Maybe a lot of people in their predictions, you said they'll go up, Aaron, but a lot of people, including myself, maybe downgraded Monaghan a bit. To be fair, I said they'll be fine. I didn't think they'd go down or anything. I just felt they wouldn't have been good enough for promotion. This probably doesn't change my mind per se, because I said Cavan will get relegated from this division. So I think the next few weeks will show a lot with Monaghan. I have to double check now who they actually play next week. I know it's Cork against Down, it's Meath against Cavan, Roscommon against Louth, so it's Westmeath actually for Monaghan. So that should be a 2-point game for Monaghan, let's be honest. So 4 points on the board after 2 games. They'll be happy with that. I think Gabriel Bannigan will be delighted, really, with that. So yeah, it's all rose in the garden for Monaghan at the moment. They needed that win just to get the confidence up. We talked about Derry at the start of the chat and how their winless run keeps on going and the negativity keeps on going. But for Monaghan, it's a new start, new manager now, new kind of players with Conor McManus and Kieran Hughes and all them stepping away. It's a new start for Monaghan. They got a first win on the board. They'd be absolutely delighted, and especially to beat their rivals in the fashion that they did. As for Cavan, they have to win next week. Now, I think it's a must-win for both sides, Cavan and Meath, which makes the game even tastier in a way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It certainly does. Now, a massive win for Monaghan. Great start, obviously, for their new manager and life post Conor McManus. Moving on from that, Roscommon 321 down 120. This game was, absolute bananas. They don't often get it right. The TV companies in terms of picking the best game of the weekend. And look, there was a lot of games obviously we didn't get to see, so it's hard for me to sit here definitively and say that this was the game of the weekend. But it certainly was. If it wasn't the game of the weekend, it certainly wasn't far off anyway, because this had a bit of everything.
We were kind of counting our lucky stars, weren't we, Aaron, that Donegal and Kerry got called off, because this wouldn't have been shown if that game didn't get called off in Killarney. But look, it's a discussion for another day. But I was delighted this game was on. Obviously, number one to watch Down. Obviously, Down are playing Cork and Park Esler next week. And there were some bright sparks on both sides, especially Down in the first half. They took some really, really good 2-pointers. Pat Avern seems to be tailor-made for this new rule system. He got 4 2-pointers in the first half. Ryan McAvoy got one as well and got 1-2 overall with a goal and a 2-pointer. Very good display for the fullback. I'm not sure he's a fullback. I think he roams more often than not. There was good displays. Obviously, James McGuinness took a really, really good 2-pointer as well. Danny McGill did it as well. But look at stats, Down scored 114 in the first half. They only scored 6 points in the second, which I'm sure Conor Laverty would be disappointed with his team. It scored that much. Maybe it was kind of a situation where they tired a small bit in the second half and Roscommon took some serious advantage. I think, Aaron, I don't know about you, but the most satisfying goal was the Kieran Murtagh goal. After the block down from Moore Murdoch, the block down from the Roscommon corner back, and it then went to Kieran Murtagh, and just the finish, the exquisite finish. I think from that distance out as well, are we going to, I know it's only January, but are we talking about goal of the year? That was some piece of skill. It really was. And that's epitomises what we wanted Gaelic football. That was a brilliant goal. On Kieran Murtagh, he had a brilliant second half once he came onto the pitch. He got a 2-pointer, he got a brilliant goal as well. His brother Dermot had a brilliant game as well in this game for Roscommon. Dara Craig grew into it gradually as well. Shane Conan scored an absolutely brilliant 2-pointer, and Roscommon were doing well in the second half with the kicking, but it didn't look that way on the TV, but there seemed to be a serious gust of wind in favour of Down in the first half and Roscommon in the second half. But it was an entertaining game nonetheless, and credit both sides for it. It was organised chaos, what we all wanted in Gaelic football. This epitomises what we all want to see from these new FRC rules. And look at stats as well, which was even more impressive. Roscommon's shooting accuracy was 70%. Down's shooting accuracy was 82%. More of this, please. We absolutely love this. This was brilliant, brilliant game of football, and I'm absolutely thrilled that I went to see it. Well, I didn't go all the way to Dr. Hyde Park to see it, but watched it on TG Car. It was a brilliant display of Gaelic football, and may continue for both sides. And yeah, it was just a brilliant game of football. I think both these sides will be up there in terms of the promotion conversation by the end of the Division 2 season.
Yeah, like it was an absolute cracker. And as you said, yeah, with that Kieran Murtha goal, definitely up there. We've seen a lot of great goals recently, like the Conor Glass goal I felt against Tyrone was very, very good as well, in fairness. He obviously had Peter Hart in the All-Ireland Club final as well. So, yeah, you had some big moments in fairness, some big goals. And this was, yeah, an absolute cracker as well, outside of the boo. And in fairness, like not many teams I felt. So when, like there was times when Com Reap would go forward for Mayo and he'd lose the ball. Now, and all the fans are shouting at the Dublin players, just get it forward because you have the men up there now. You know what I mean? Like the space is there, and I felt like Roscommon were one of the few teams I seen that were actually like when the down goalkeeper lost the ball, they would move it so quickly, and they reaped their rewards for it, because it was a brilliant goal and a brilliant performance. And as you said, yeah, it was interesting. Like Dara Craig gets black carded with about 16 minutes to go, but Roscommon just pushed on. And again, I think it was Roscommon maybe just being a bit more fitter, sharper, used to playing at this level, whereas Down probably lost their way a little bit towards the end. But the more that they play at this level, the more that Down will come up to speed. And I do think Down can take a lot of positives from this game as well. You had Westmeath versus Louth, 18 points to 117. Maybe a little bit closer than people expected, given the players that Westmeath were without. And there was actually a late goal in this game from Sean Reynolds right at the death, which, got Louth over the line in the end. So when you think about it, like it is a big win for Louth. They get over the line, 2 points, massive. But it could have been, different.
Could have been. And it's hard to pinpoint what happened in this game. Are Westmeath better than we actually believe they were, or Louth, as I said during the week on the predictions, are Louth not suited to these routes really, with the 3 up in particular, the 3 up and 3 back, because Joe Brennan was talking about that route in particular with the 12v1, and he didn't like it. He didn't like that there was less defenders than attackers, and that probably just epitomises that Louth need a bit of getting used to with these new rules, and it should be very, very interesting to see how they get on. They grinded out a win, which is a sign of a good team, obviously. And Sean Reynolds obviously getting a goal on his league debut. I seen earlier on Louth GA. So a really good debut from his point of view. Really good pattern finish from what I've seen of the clips and things like that online as well. Samuel Roy got 5 points, Kieran Downey and Andy McDonald got 2. So Ryan Burns got a 2-pointer, Peter Lynch got 2 points. So good display from a Louth point of view. From Westmeath, I think performance of the weekend has to nearly go to Luke Loughlin from Westmeath. 12 points in this one, and most of them being from play. Really, really good display from him. He got 2 2-pointers in this one. He got 3 frees and 1 2-pointed free. So if you disregard all the frees and stuff from play, he scored 7 points from play in this one. That's an incredible tally. Or 8 points, whatever your outlook on it is. It's a really, really good tally. And he has definitely stepped up now that John Hastings gone, Ronan O'Toole's gone. Ronan Wallace was playing in this game, so the Facebook rumours didn't end up being true. He scored 3 points from play, so very good performance from him. But Luke in particular really stepped up for Westmeath. And the key now for Westmeath, that's the big thing for them. They have to keep Luke Loughlin fit, because if he gets injured then, there could be a bit of trouble. So really good display from Luke Loughlin. Definitely one of the performances of the week. And I actually didn't look at Team of the Week, the official GA Team of the Week, but surely he got in there. If he didn't get in there, something must be seriously wrong, Aaron. But really good display from him on an individual standpoint. But for Louth, they grinded out the win. They got the win in the end. And fair play to Sean Reynolds for coming up and getting the crucial goal.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it was huge win for Louth in the end, to get over the line. Like maybe a bit of a banana skin, not necessarily a derby, I would say, but it is 2 sides in and around the Midlands. Westmeath definitely Louth. Yeah, I suppose you could probably put them in the Midlands bracket as well. In fairness, so yeah, bit of a rivalry. In some ways, maybe there. Tranquility Base said here. So what about Cork? Shout out from California. Yeah, fair play. If you're in California watching us, fair play. I definitely appreciate that. And I'm not too sure maybe if you haven't seen us speak about Cork yet or what that was in reference to. But cheers very much for the comment nonetheless. Anyway, Tom says, I don't think a team should be able to get a 2-pointer chance from a free. A 1-point free is quite sufficient. A 2-pointer from play is fine. It is interesting because like with 45s, you can't, that's only a point. That's only a 1-pointer. So like it is a little bit unusual, maybe in regards to that. Maybe that's something they maybe do need to look at a little bit. I feel like it should be two-pointer from a 45. Like if it's going to be a 2-pointer from a free outside the arc, obviously,
Yeah, that might not be a bad idea, to be honest, because I seen in the game I went to, obviously, in Cork and Meath and Roscommon and Down as well, and seen the highlights of Galway and Armagh, that players, when they get a free for a 50-meter infringement or whatever, they actually bring it outside the arc to make it a 2-point. So that's going to have serious implications, I'm sure, in the league as well. So yeah, I think that's probably a good rule to bring in, and maybe take away the 2-pointer from the free, and maybe it'll be a better kind of spectacle because of that. So yeah, it should be very, very interesting. Like Pat Haver got 3 points from a 2-pointer freeze. If you took away the 2-pointer freeze for him, then Down would have had only 111 in the first half to Roscommon's 2-6, and it would have been a tighter game. I know Roscommon eventually came back into it, but yeah, it is a very interesting point. Maybe that could be an element that could be changed at the end of the league campaign, but we shall see.
Yeah, moving on to Division 3, Kildare 224, Fermanagh 112. Very resounding win there from Kildare. Lee says the new rules will benefit Kildare. Some serious forwards there. Expected them to have a good year. Look, it has been fun, having a bit of banter with Kildare and everything else. I do, I've always kind of suspected they've good enough players there to eventually get their act together. They've had the underage success. They have the facilities now in some ways as well with Newbridge. Like to beat a team who they were relegated with last year, who I think Fermanagh are a decent team, like to beat them by 15, like that's some going, and it does look like this could be a bit of a walk in the park for Kildare in this division.
Looks that way, yeah. I think this was an excellent performance from Kildare from many aspects of it. Like Derek Kieran gets 1-6 in this one. Ryan Sinky got 1-2. When we talked about him at under 20 level down through the years, what an exceptional talent he is. He proved it that he can step up to senior with a brilliant display of shooting in this one. And Alex Byrne got 4 points as well. Like Kildare look serious. They look really, really good. James McGrath centre back as well from the under 20 team. So a lot of them under 20 players are moving up to the senior ranks. And as well as that, the likes of Derek Kieran, Daniel Flynn was on the bench for this one. He probably wasn't needed in this one, which is another indication of how Kildare could do well in competitions this year. It'd be interesting to see how they get on in the provincial championships and the All Ireland, because I think, by the looks of this result anyway, I think the main game will be Sligo Markovich Park, how they get on that, because I still think Sligo are decent enough side despite their loss. We'll get on to in a sec. But I think Kildare overall should get up to Division 2 quite comprehensively, and they look really, really impressive for this one, not going to lie. As you mentioned there, Fermanagh are not a bad side. They're no slouches. So it was a really, really good display from Kildare, and I'm sure they'll be all delighted to see him with a really, really good display of football, and it should be an exciting year for Kildare given the players that they do have.
Yeah, and you had Offaly 117, Sligo 13 points. Maybe an exciting year for Offaly as well. Not many people saw this coming, a 7-point win versus Sligo. Like a lot of positivity really around Sligo, like given club football, underage level as well. So, a bit of a setback for them. Mickey Hart coming into Offaly. I said before, like people shouldn't turn their noses up to Mickey Hart going in there. He did a very good job with Louth, probably Louth or arguably in worse circumstances in Division 4 at that stage than Offaly currently are now. And obviously there is the joint managerial partnership. You don't know how that's going to work, but you would have to say after week 1, things are looking good for Offaly, and maybe they might be a bit, maybe outsiders to go on a bit of a promotion charge.
Yeah, and especially with the forwards that they do have. Rory Mattenby got the goal in this one, and a really good display from him. Keith O'Neill, the guy who kicked the ball outside the boot against Dublin and Croke Park, got 6 points in this game. So really good display from him. Dylan Hine got 4 points as well. So really good display overall from Offaly. And I think there were 2 or 3 points down at half time reading reports. So to get back into this one and to win it so comprehensively the way they did against a very good Sligo team. I have to emphasise that there's a very good Sligo team that were close to Galway last year, took down to extra time in the Tailteann Cup semi-final as well. They are a serious team, Sligo, and for Offaly to beat them by 7 points, it probably just shows the stamp that Mickey Hart has had in this team. So they're going to be serious. There's no doubt about that. There is obviously Kildare look to be probably over the hills and far away, but you look at probably Offaly, Sligo, maybe Fermanagh. You don't know how that result against Kildare will affect that Fermanagh team in the next few weeks. So yeah, it should be a very interesting year for Offaly, and yeah, I think they should be very, very happy with their display of football. And their under-20 talent, now that Mickey Hart has come in, seems to be coming to fruition. I know a guy that'll be very, very happy with this performance. His name's Liam White. He was on my podcast previously. So for Liam, very good display from Offaly. I'm sure you're a happy man this evening.
Absolutely. I think most Offaly fans will be over the moon, given how last year ended as well. So brilliant kind of turnaround there. You had Antrim 1-9, Clare 1-6. You nearly had to double check this to make sure, was it actually the right scoreline, just given how much higher a lot of the other games were. But this was the full-time score. I was looking at some of the clips from our good friend Kevin Kennedy from the GA Sports Tracker app, and looked like some fierce wind and some bad conditions, in fairness. But yeah, probably not. You probably wouldn't begrudge the Allianz League Sunday for not showing this one, in fairness.
No, I'd say not, to be fair. But I did call this one. I said Antrim would win at home, and did. Maybe up the lucky charm for Antrim. There you go. But then again, I predicted them to get relegated, so we'll see. But look, it was a good win for Antrim, this one, despite the weather conditions. But I've seen a few photos as well that the arc was drawn in the wrong position in this game. It was the same that happened in Armagh as well. Like
the wrong game, yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
What was going on there? I don't know, but look, Antrim will not complain. It was a very good display from them to get the win overall. Fionn Nagel got 1-1. Conor Han got 3 points as well. So really good display of football from them. And Ryan Murray, who apparently came back from an injury. So good display from him to get back of the horse and get 2 points in this one. So really good display from Antrim to win it overall. As for Clare, a lot of Clare fans worried about this result and saying Peter Keane's not maybe the answer. Look, I said this during the week. The reason I tipped Antrim was because, like, a trip up to Antrim from Ennis, it's a difficult assignment. And you can't just take into account the players that you have and the managers you may have. You have to take into account the logistics as well. Travelling up to Cork and Park from Ennis is not an easy task at all. So it was difficult for Clare. I'm sure they'll be back with better results, I'm sure, later in the league campaign. It's a bit to worry about, not a big worry, I don't think, for the Clare footballers. A tough result to take, but look, it was always going to be difficult to go up to Cork and Park and get a result. Antrim, fair play to them for getting the results. It was a low-scoring game, but look, at the weather conditions from are good for Kevin. Maybe it was justified, I suppose.
Yeah, good win for Antrim, given the past 3 results of Antrim against Fermanagh. They should be favourites, says Nerb and TSB there. Good result for Antrim. And yeah, as you said, they beat Fermanagh, didn't they, in the Tailteann Cup last year? Might have beat them in the league maybe as well. So they do have some kind of good records there as well. Moving on to Division 4, starting off with Longford 2-12, Limerick 1-15. Yeah, like Longford in the end, I think getting a late point right at the death. Couple of late points for Matthew Carey there to rescue the draw. But yeah, even Stevens, and I suppose you probably would expect that with 2 teams who are going to be thereabouts, you'd imagine, in the kind of promotion race.
Even better than 2 frees at the end for Matthew Carey, and he got a double point, 2-pointer from a free right at the end to level it. So
there we go. Wow.
That's the story. That's one of the stories of the weekend, to be fair. Peter Nash was brilliant for Limerick with 1-4. Owen Kenny, who was on my podcast previously, got 2-1 for Longford. Very good display from him. And Matthew Carey himself, I know he kicked the 2-pointer at the end, but he's done well in Sigerson over the last few weeks for 8U Sligo. So he is definitely one to watch in the championship and the league in particular in the next few weeks. It might be a new star in the Longford team, so good display from them. tricky assignment really for Longford to get a result, because Limerick were in Division 2 a few seasons back. But for them to get a late equaliser like that in dramatic circumstances, I think it will do the Longford players the world of good, especially with the negativity over the last few years with Paddy Christie in charge. But it was a good result for Longford and for Limerick as well to travel all the way up and get a draw. So I think both sides will be happy with the result.
Yeah, and another game that was a draw was Carlow and Tipperary. Carlow 2-13. Tipperary won 1-16. So yeah, all even Stevens. A lot of draws in Division 4.
Yeah, and funnily enough, we all predicted the draws would be Division 2, Division 1, maybe some in Division 3. Maybe we have to look at the bottom division to get a few 1 point apiece or there. But yeah, good game from both sides, I guess. Good attacking football on display, especially from. But then again, Carlow could have easily won this game. Like they were, I'm looking at the report here. They were 4 points. They were 4 points up with 5 minutes to go, and Kevin Murphy had a penalty for Carlow, but it was saved, and that could have made it a 7 point game for Carlow. But in the end, points from Cian Smith, Stephen O'Brien, and Sean O'Connor. Stephen O'Brien got 2 from frees at the end, rescued a point for Tipperary. So I think looking at those reports, looking at how it played out, I think Carlow would be very, very disappointed, especially at home, to kind of bottle a win in the way that they did. But Tip, I think, will be happy, considering, again, like Longford, the negativity over the last 2 years of Tipperary football has been well documented. For them to go to Nemwash Cullen Park and get a draw, I think they'll be delighted with that, especially with 4 late points at the board. So yeah, I think a good draw for Tipperary, but for Carlow, I think it's a point dropped.
Yeah, and then we had Wexford 2-24, London 2-6. Look, you would look at this and think Wexford should be winning that game at home and everything else. It should be a comfortable win. Wexford, these have been the type of games Wexford have, slipped up on in the past. But there was no sign of that here, like a number of 2-pointers from what I heard as well. So yeah, very, very big win for Wexford, and kind of a bit of a statement put out there.
Exactly, very good display from Sean Nolan. This one, he got 9 points. Gavin Sheehan and Pádraig Hughes both hit the net from full back and centre back respectively, so good displays from them. And Shane Pettis got 4 points for Wexford, so good display all around for them. Comprehensive win, probably expected against the London team that probably aren't going to be up to much in Division 4, and they are definitely in the promotion conversation. It should be very, very interesting. Wicklow didn't play this weekend against Waterford. That game was called off, so I think it will be between the top 4 in the end, probably Longford, Wexford, Limerick or Wicklow. I think 2 of those will go up, and it should be very interesting towards the end of the league campaign to see who does go up. And Wexford probably deserve it, given the probably, I'd say they were in a tough situation last year, getting 12 points at the board. I think it was. It still didn't go up, or 10 points or rather. So yeah, it was a difficult league campaign for Wexford not going up last year. They might just do it this time around.
Absolutely. A very resounding win there for Wexford, in fairness, scoring 2-24. Like, it is quite the tally to put up there. Obviously similar to what Kildare done against Fermanagh as well. Player of the week and moment of the week, what are we thinking?
Yeah, player of the week, I'd have to go Luke Loughlin for Westmeath. Incredible with 12 points. And yeah, with the absence of John Hesden and Rowan Toole, it was important for him to take a claim of the Westmeath team. So I'll give him my player of the week nominee. Moment of the week, I don't think this is up for discussion, Aaron, really. It's the penalty from Conor Loftus in the All-Ireland Intermediate Club Football Championship final in Croke Park. We all know, obviously, the tragedy on the Loftus and the Cryan families over the last few weeks, with Roisin sadly passing away from the Crossmalloy club, came from Carrick-Shannon and Leitrim as well. Crossmalloy had a last bit of penalty to win it. There were 13 points to 12 down against Ballinderry Shamrocks. Conor Loftus bravely steps up to take the penalty, wins the All-Ireland for his club, and consoled by his teammates afterwards before going down the tunnel. To play in this game, I can't imagine the strength from Conor Loftus shown in this one. Not to mind to step up and take the penalty in that one. It was undoubtedly moment of the week, probably moment of the year as well. It was heartbreaking what happened in the Crossmalloy club over the last few weeks. a brilliant win for them to win the All-Ireland, but it was tragic what happened to Roisin over the last few weeks. Obviously, condolences again to the Crossmagnon Club in losing Roisin and to the Crying and Loftus families. May she rest in peace for yesterday, Gareva Annika. It is a tragic loss, and yeah, Conor Loftus, I can't imagine the amount of strength he must have had to go up and take that penalty in any game under the circumstances, never mind an All-Ireland final.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Echo every single thing that you said there, and yeah, absolutely. You can't look past any other moment of the week. Was quite phenomenal, incredible to actually see him step up there to take the penalty. I think I've said to you before, like when you see, David Clifford and Paddy Clifford playing for Kerry not long after, their mother passing away, and you've seen other instances with these kind of things. It's incredible to see players stepping out there and sort of putting themselves on the line, given everything that they've obviously had go on. So as you said, it's incredible amount of strength, and the goal as well. It was an incredible finish to the game, and an incredible story obviously as well. So congratulations to Crossmagnon there for winning that All-Ireland. I think we'll go ahead and wrap this one up here. Anyone who tuned in, hit the like button and subscribe if you could. Make sure to check out Matthew's podcast as well at Gaelic Statsman, and across Instagram, TikTok, and all the other socials as well. We'll be back at some stage during the week to preview round 2 of the National Football League, and we will start hopefully at some stage getting into the hurling games as well. There is just, we spent an hour and 20 minutes here in the football, so there definitely is, it can be hard to keep up with it all. But anyone who tuned in, cheers for tuning in. Anyone who commented, all the lads there, very much appreciated. And until the next one, we'll speak to you all again soon.